The 30-Year Trap Part 1. The Beginning and End of the Fear That Started Everything. He was 25 when the fear first gripped him. Not the kind of fear that makes you freeze. The kind that makes you move. It was a Tuesday morning. He was sitting in a cramped office, staring at a spreadsheet that wasn't his, doing work that didn't matter for a salary that barely covered rent. His father had just called. "I'm fine," his dad had said, but his voice was tired. Defeated. 70 years old and still working. Not because he wanted to. Because he had to. No savings. No pension. Just Social Security and pride that wouldn't pay the bills. "Don't end up like me," his father said before hanging up. That sentence hit harder than any lesson he'd learned in school. That night he made a decision. He opened a savings account. Not with excitement. Not with dreams of wealth. With fear. Pure, cold, unshakable fear of becoming his father. The promise to himself. He wasn't special. No Ivy League degree. No family money. No connections. Just an average guy with an average job in an average city. But he had something most people didn't. Discipline. Every month, like clockwork, he transferred money out of his checking account before he could spend it. 10% at first. Then 15. Eventually 20. It hurt. He watched friends go out on weekends. He said no. They bought new phones every year. He kept his until the screen cracked. They took trips to Europe, posted photos from beaches, lived like tomorrow didn't exist. He stayed home. "You only live once," they'd say. "Exactly," he'd think. "So I better not screw it up." The early years, building in silence. The first 5 years were the hardest. Not because the market was bad. Because nothing seemed to happen. He'd check his account every month expecting something. A miracle. A windfall. Some sign that his sacrifice was worth it. Instead he saw small, boring numbers. $5,000. Then $12,000. Then $20,000. It felt insignificant compared to what he'd given up. But he didn't stop. He read books. Not because he loved finance. Because he was terrified of doing it wrong. Index funds, the book said. Low fees. Diversification. Time in the market beats timing the market. So that's what he did. S&P 500. Total stock market. Some international exposure. Nothing sexy. Nothing exciting. Just steady. His coworkers thought he was boring. His girlfriend, now wife, thought he was paranoid. "Live a little," she'd say. "I will," he'd promise. Later. When we're safe. Part 2. The middle wires, the decade of doubt. By his mid-30s, something strange happened. The numbers started growing faster. Not because he was doing anything different. But because compound interest, that boring concept from the books, was finally kicking in. 50,000 became 80,000. 80,000 became 120,000. He started believing. Not in getting rich. But in getting safe. The temptations. His friends were evolving. Some had bought houses, big ones, with loans that made his stomach turn. "Real estate always goes up," they'd say confidently. Others had jumped into crypto, day trading, options. "I made $10,000 in a week," one friend bragged at a barbecue. He smiled. Nodded. Said nothing. But inside a small voice whispered, "What if you're wrong? What if slow and steady is just slow?" He almost broke once. 42 years old. A coworker had just bought a Tesla with his stock options. He went home and stared at his portfolio. $280,000. 17 years of saving. He could pull some out. Live a little. Buy something nice. His wife had stopped asking for vacations years ago. His kids had learned not to ask for the expensive birthday parties their friends had. He could take 20,000. Just once. Just to feel like he hadn't wasted his youth. His hand hovered over the withdraw button. Then he thought of his father. And he closed the laptop. The validation. By 50 the number was real. $620,000. He did the math obsessively now. At this rate, by 60 he'd have over $1 million. Maybe more if the market cooperated. His financial advisor, a polite man in a suit who nodded a lot, told him he was on track. "You're doing everything right," the advisor said. "Just keep doing what you're doing." So he did. He got a promotion at work. More stress but more income. Every raise went straight into savings. Every bonus. Every tax refund. His friends were talking about retirement now too. But most of them were panicking. "I should have started earlier," they'd say. "I wish I'd been smarter," they'd admit. He'd sit quietly, feeling something he rarely allowed himself to feel. Pride. He had done it. He had resisted every temptation. Ignored every trend. Stayed disciplined when everyone else chased distractions. And now, finally, he was going to win. The 5-year plan. At 55, he sat down with his wife and made the plan. 5 more years of work. By 60, they'd have enough to retire comfortably. Not rich, not extravagant, but free. Free from alarms. Free from deadlines. Free from the anxiety that had driven him for 3 decades. They'd travel finally. Nothing fancy. Just the trips they'd postponed for 30 years. They'd see their grandkids more. They'd breathe. His wife cried when they finished planning. Not sad tears. Relief. "We actually did it," she whispered. He hugged her. And for the first time in his life he let himself believe it too. Part 3. The Ciority of the morning everything changed. It was a Thursday. He woke up at 6:30 a.m. like always. Coffee. Shower. Toast. His routine was sacred. His phone buzzed on the counter. A news alert. Asian markets plunge overnight, U.S. futures tumble. He frowned but didn't panic. Corrections happened. He'd seen them before. 2008 had been scary, but he'd held steady. The market recovered. 2020's COVID crash had been terrifying, but it bounced back even faster. Long-term investors don't panic, he reminded himself. He poured his coffee and opened his investment app. Just to check. Just to see. The first drop. The app loaded. His portfolio value appeared. Negative $47,000. His hand froze. That was 7% down. Before the market had even opened. He refreshed. Negative $52,000. 8%. His coffee went cold. The free fall. By 9:30 a.m. the market opened. And it didn't bounce. It fell. Hard. The S&P 500 dropped 4% in the first 10 minutes. Then 6%. Then 8%. Circuit breakers triggered. Automatic pauses meant to calm panic. But when trading resumed, it fell again. He sat at his kitchen table, laptop open, phone buzzing non-stop. News alerts poured in. Worst sell-off since 2008. Global panic, central banks scrambling. Algorithmic trading blamed for acceleration. His portfolio was bleeding in real time. Negative 95,000. Negative 120,000. Negative 145,000. He tried calling his financial advisor. Voicemail. He tried again. Busy signal. He wasn't the only one panicking. The 30 minutes. By 10 a.m. his portfolio had dropped 15%. Not over months. Not over weeks. In 30 minutes. 30 minutes to erase years of progress. He stared at the number. $527,000. It was still a lot of money. But it wasn't his number. His number, the one he'd calculated 1,000 times, was 850,000. The number that meant safety. The number that meant 5 more years and freedom. This new number changed everything. He grabbed a calculator with shaking hands. If he retired now with 527,000, if he withdrew 4% per year, that was 21,000 a year. Less than 2,000 a month. That wasn't retirement. That was survival. The call. At 11 a.m. his advisor finally called back. His voice was calm. Practiced. Professional. "I know this is scary," the advisor said. "But this is temporary." Temporary? He could barely get the word out. Markets move in cycles. Volatility is normal. Long-term investors like you have weathered worse. "I've been doing this for 30 years, he said, his voice cracking. "I did everything you said. Every single thing. And you still have a substantial portfolio," the advisor countered. "You haven't lost everything. You just need to stay calm and hold." Hold? I'm 55. I was supposed to retire in 5 years. How much longer do I have to hold? Silence. Then, "I can't predict the future. But historically markets recover. If you sell now, you lock in your losses. If you hold, you give it time to bounce back." How much time? Another pause. That depends. He hung up. Part 4. The aftermath, the stabilization. By the end of the day, the market had stabilized. Down 12% overall. Headlines shifted. Market finds footing after morning panic. Experts say worst may be over. Opportunity for long-term investors. His portfolio settled at $560,000. Better than the low. Worse than yesterday. He sat in silence. The realization. That night he couldn't sleep. He kept running the numbers. If the market recovered 10% next year, he'd be back to 616,000. Close. But not the same. If it stayed flat for 2 years like it did after 2000, he'd still be short. He'd have to work longer. Maybe not 5 more years. Maybe 7. Maybe 10. Or he'd have to retire with less. Smaller budget. Fewer trips. Tighter margins. The dream he'd built for 3 decades had been adjusted. Not destroyed. Just recalculated. The cruel math. Here's what haunted him. The people who caused the crash, the algorithms, the institutional traders, the hedge funds with billion-dollar positions, they had already moved. They saw the signs. They had the data. They exited early. By the time he saw the red numbers, the damage was already done. And when the market recovered, and it would recover, eventually, those same players would buy back in at the bottom. They'd profit from the crash, while he absorbed it. That's what they meant by opportunity. Not for him. For them. The conversation he couldn't have. His wife asked how bad it was. He lied. It's fine. Just a rough day. It'll bounce back. She believed him. Or pretended to. But he saw the way she looked at the vacation brochures on the counter. The ones they'd finally let themselves pick up. She quietly put them away. Part 5. The Ellis Sohn the return to work. Monday morning. Back to the office. Same desk. Same emails. Same meetings. But something had changed. He used to think of work as temporary. Just 5 more years. Now it felt permanent again. The finish line had moved. And he was too tired to run as fast as he used to. The truth he'd never been told. He'd done everything they said. Live below your means. Save consistently. Invest for the long term. Don't time the market. Stay disciplined. And it worked. Until it didn't. Not because he failed. But because the system doesn't care about your timeline. The market doesn't ask if you're ready to retire. It doesn't check if you've saved for 30 years. It moves when it moves. And if you're in the wrong position at the wrong time, it doesn't matter how disciplined you were. You still lose. Not everything. But enough. Enough to change your life. The new normal. He still saves. He still invests. But now he knows something he didn't before. Money isn't just numbers on a screen. It's power. Information. Position. The people who win aren't the most disciplined. They're the ones who know when to move. And most people like him, don't get that information until it's too late. The question that haunts him. Late at night, when he can't sleep, he asks himself the same question. What was it all for? 30 years of sacrifice. 30 years of saying no. No to trips. No to luxuries. No to living. All for a number that could vanish in 30 minutes. And the worst part? He doesn't regret saving. He regrets believing that saving was enough. Hello Dewey, the final thought. He's 56 now. Still working. Still saving. The market recovered some. Not all. It never does. His wife still talks about retirement. He smiles and nods. But he doesn't make plans anymore. Because now he knows. You can do everything right and still discover that right was never safe. Just exposed. And sometimes 30 years of patience is just 30 years of hope. That someone somewhere won't press a button that erases you in 30 minutes. The market doesn't care how long you waited. It only cares where you were standing when it moved.